And of course, Obama, the postmodern coup. And as we're working on this Obama film here at the Info Warrior Studios, I tend to like this guy less and less and less. And it does seem like there is a concerted effort to really promote him, not only through the media. I mean, it's bad enough that MSNBC was running commercials with all their anchors, change with MSNBC. On the cover of Spider-Man this week, sold out. Copies are going for upwards of $150. You can't get one less than $80. Cover of the Rolling Stone, deified as a god. And now Newsweek even doing a cover article entitled Obama's Cheney Dilemma, where they make the case that the Obama administration should not get rid of any of the executive powers that were brought in under the Bush administration. Thank you for joining us, Webster.
Thank you, Jason. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. So, I mean, it really does seem like, aside from the Youth Corps and aside from the media promoting him, that Obama's cult-like status is just growing and growing and growing. I mean, when I flew into Texas last week, one of the guys with the big orange batons was wearing, not a Change Obama hat, not an Obama 08 hat, but just one of these stylist fashion things that you can get in any mall now, because he's all over hats, he's all over T-shirts. I mean, there's an Obama line of shoes. It's pretty incredible.
Well, I think it's not encouraging for the future of democracy to have a personality cult on the model of the various totalitarians in Europe in the 1920s and 30s. Interestingly enough, the Washington Post has recognized that the classic Obama poster is directly out of Soviet communism, Italian fascism, and German National Socialism. And it's very interesting. The guy who does these things is Shepard Fairey. You've probably seen him. The cover of Time magazine was Shepard Fairey. The cover of Washington Life, another one of the same type. You've probably seen the one with Obama Hope underneath, things like this. And the Washington Post, this is the first time they've admitted, because they've been supporting Obama, of course, because they're the house organ of the Federal Reserve System. It says, this branding is brilliant, but it seems to disregard the iconic precedents of authoritarian propaganda originating in forms such as the Soviet poster art of the 1920s that Americans have traditionally resisted. So you're being invited to join the personality cult of a demagogue who is he wants to become an authoritarian dictator, functioning differently than Bush. He's more demagogic. He's using left cover compared to Bush's right-wing arguments. Right? Bush was talking Bin Laden, Al Qaeda, war on terror, 9/11. Bush was ranting about 9/11 last night in his farewell, which was quite a spectacle. But now with Obama, it's going to be different. Now it's going to be, as he says, the Washington Post headline of today, I think, is extremely ominous. It is that Obama is now pledged to loot and pillage and sack Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, with the goal, of course, of convoying that money not to the poor, but to Wall Street. He's doing it under the direction of former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Adolph Volcker, Trilateral Commission, Carter administration, the guy who destroyed the U.S. industrial base with the worst usury in history, 22% prime rate. That's Volcker. He's the elder statesman, the eminence grise of this entire thing. And Obama says he wants entitlement reform. That means that your economic rights, won by the American people and the American labor movement with all kinds of struggles, the Detroit sit-down strikes, the San Francisco General Strike, the Minneapolis Teamster Strike, and the Toledo Auto Light, and a million other sung and unsung labor struggles over the years. Obama wants to take that all away, and he says this is where there are going to be very difficult choices and issues of sacrifice and responsibility and duty, he says. Sacrifice, responsibility, and duty. Now, this is not new. Michelle Obama, during the primaries, as I pointed out almost a year ago now, was talking a litany of sacrifice, meaning that they're going to drive down the standard of living. They're going to obviously increase the looting rate, increase the rate of primitive accumulation, including through taxation, of course, through their lunatic program of cap and trade, carbon tax, and all the rest of this stuff, motivated with global warming. And I'm sure the people up in Fargo, North Dakota, where it was 44 degrees below zero overnight, are going to laugh about that. The whole upper Midwest is in the deep freeze. The worst
Oh, yeah, I'm getting
cold
calls
snap.
from all my friends. They're just, I'm from upstate New York, and they're like, dude, it's negative 15 out right now. And you just mentioned global warming and a carbon tax. Well, this week he appointed Carl M. Browner as his global warming czar. Yeah, I'm sorry, Carol M.
She's
Browner.
a lunatic. She's a retread from the Clinton administration. But this is a really big thing. He's saying that that he is capable of bringing together a bipartisan. What that really means is pan-oligarchical. He's going to get finance oligarchs of the left and finance oligarchs of the right, Republican and Democratic financiers, bankers, and so forth. And he's going to loot, he's going to reduce the benefits, he's going to increase the retirement age, he's going to increase the taxation on these things. And it's so ironic because last night, under Obama's leadership, the second round of the TARP was essentially approved, another $350 billion, and about half of it is already gone because it went to Bank of America overnight. Bank of America, a bankrupt institution, bankrupt because of derivatives, because of, credit default swaps, collateralized debt obligations, structured investment vehicles, auction rate securities, asset-backed securities, mortgage-backed securities, all the rest of these crazy derivatives. Bank of America is bankrupt. Everybody knows it. Now, they've been bailed out once under the first round of the TARP to the tune of $25 billion, and now they're getting a second round of $168 billion following Citibank, right? Citibank had been bailed out once and then had to be bailed out twice in November, and everybody knows that Citibank is about to go under for the third time, and J.P. Morgan Chase is going down, 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 down. So, along with Union Bank of Switzerland and all sorts of others that operate in the U.S., so this is a disaster. I think Obama has dropped the mask. Today he's talking about renewable energy and his green jobs. Well, the problem with what he calls renewable energy, meaning windmills and solar cells and ethanol and other boondoggles, essentially, that have to be subsidized, is that every time you build one, it's a net loss for the economy. It's a net loss because the amount of energy you have to put in to create some of these things, or all of them virtually, is more than you'll ever get out of it in the entire life of the investment. So the more you have green jobs and renewable energy, the poorer and more backward you're going to get. Obama today is talking about how countries like Spain are ahead of the United States. Yeah, they're ahead of the United States in the race to the bottom because they'll go bankrupt even faster because of their stress on green jobs, renewable energy, global warming, and the polar bears. So you're getting to the point now where human civilization, the fabric of human civilization, is at stake. And obviously, you can say, well, let the depression work. I suppose there are some who say, you can't interfere with the depression. You have to let it work itself out. You have to hope for creative destruction and hope for a recovery on the other side. I say that's ridiculous. That's absurd, and it's also going to get a lot of people killed. We can and must and can easily fight the depression successfully because we know how to do it, right? We have the examples of the 1930s, 1940s here in the United States. You can take the examples that work and the ones that don't work from the New Deal, the Roosevelt period, the labor struggles that go together with that, and you can apply that to the present time. What Obama's trying to do, though, is he's essentially imitating, it's not very widely known, Mussolini. Mussolini in the 1930s, after he invaded Ethiopia, was slapped with oil sanctions by the League of Nations. So the Italian economy went into autarky, meaning energy independence, including ethanol. That's one of the ways that ethanol was developed, was in Italy in the late 1930s. And this, of course, is a tremendous failure, and it makes a society that is so impoverished and hysterical that you get yourself into wars very easily because the dictator has then got to pick quarrels with foreign countries to somehow unload all of this tension. So I'm very much afraid we're going into 100 days to the fascist corporate state, and it is imperative now to organize a sophisticated, enlightened opposition to Obama. The problem you have, we can go through the Obama cabinet, right? The appointments that he's made, some of these are just hair-raising. I've already mentioned Volcker, but you look at people like Geithner and Summers and Gates and the new Dr. Rice and Vilsack at Agriculture and Arnie Duncan and this guy Donovan at the Department of Housing and Urban Development and so on down the line. This is the greatest concentration of Wall Street banker influence and power that we've ever seen in the history of the country. There's nobody at the table except Wall Street. Labor counts for nothing. Retirees count for nothing. Women count for nothing. Black community counts for nothing. Hispanics count for nothing. Asians get nothing. Small business gets nothing. Heavy industry gets nothing. The defense contractors get basically nothing. Big oil gets virtually nothing. Auto, of course, gets nothing. So what you've got is the reign of pure financier, paper-backed derivatives merchants. In other words, the people who have now, or they're now about to seize power in Washington, are the ones behind the $1.5 quadrillion derivatives bubble. And God help us.
Well, they're calling for an $825 billion stimulus bill. We're in a lot of trouble, folks. It's the Alex Jones Show, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv.